Happy New Year and welcome to the Attractions Group podcast, episode 26. Don, how was your holiday season?
It was interesting. For the most part of it, I was kind of under the weather with it. Um, but overall, I mean, it's always good to see family and friends and that, on Christmas and New Year's, and look forward to the start of a new year.
Awesome. I also celebrated Christmas and New Year's, and in addition to that, I became an uncle again on New Year's Day. So my
Oh,
brother Thank
congratulations!
you. My brother had a little baby boy that was not expected until Valentine's Day, but it's very healthy and they at that stage they always worry about lung development and stuff like that, but they kind of anticipated that they would have to make her go early because of some stuff that came up with her. And yeah, he was born very healthy and they're both happy and excited and a couple days in the hospital standard for a preemie, especially about 6 weeks old. But it's going to get out then, and can't wait to meet them. I haven't had the opportunity to yet since they're only allowed to have like their parents in the room and stuff like that. But
Right? Do you get to watch any football over the holidays?
I did. I watched the that massacre that was the Cheez It Bowl with how was LSU matched up with Purdue? Like what sadist?
I don't know. And then you got Tulane. They got revenge for the 1932 Rose Bowl loss.
Yeah, well, I'm still a little salty about the 32 Rose Bowl loss too. Um, yeah, and if I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't mention what happened on Monday Night Football. That's you were there, obviously. But even watching at home, it was just terrible. And I remember the first incident. The first thing that kind of stuck in my mind was they pulled the ambulance out on the field, and they I'd never seen them pull an ambulance out on a football field. I assumed it was because it wasn't necessarily necessary, and secondly, it probably could be damaging to the field. So I was like, oh, they must have changed the protocol or something because what we were told at home was that it was some sort of back or neck injury, which is they look like they were stabilizing his neck for the first moment. Come back from commercial and they're saying, oh, they're doing CPR. So, what was the tone there, Don?
I mean, it was the most electric atmosphere before the game. It was loud. The crowd was into it. Great pregame introductions and everything. Everybody's pumped up, ready to go. Bengals get off to a great start. They're up 7-3. They're driving again, and on that play that happened, you saw him stand back up, and then he went down, not forward but backwards,
Hmm.
and that was what made it right off the bat unusual.
Yeah.
Something we hadn't seen before, and we knew something was wrong, seriously wrong. And then it just to hear, or see how loud the stadium was, and then it just became like total silence, and just very chilling experience.
Yeah.
Hope to never see that again.
Mm.
And just to see, there was, you got the Buffalo writers and PR team, and that they're just right down the row from
Oh
us and
yeah.
where I was sitting, and just to see them, and nobody knows what's happening. Um, but you went from number three on the field's a football player, to now we're looking at a human battling for his life, and
Right.
it just puts everything into perspective for you. And suddenly, when I'm driving home, a lot of little things that would bother me didn't bother me anymore.
Right.
Just thinking about that, and just puts a lot of things in perspective. And um, just I just been thinking about that player for the last couple of days, and just what his family's going through. I saw his mom and everything, and wondering what she's thinking. And
Hmm.
it was just a real chilling experience, and something I hope I never have to see again.
Yeah, I agree. So for those of you who may be outside the United States or something like that did not know what happened, Monday Night Football in Cincinnati, it was the Buffalo Bills versus Cincinnati Bengals. Huge game, huge playoff implications. The winner is essentially going to take their division and possibly have like home field advantage for the playoffs and so on. But um,
Damar
Hamlin,
Hamlin,
yeah,
yeah.
which is was he a safety?
He was a safety, and he was, really coming on. It was his 14th start for the Bills
Hmm.
this year. But, I didn't know a whole lot about him before the
Right.
game, other than he went to Pitt. I knew
Mhm.
that he had played there. But then you start reading the different articles and seeing videos and things, and here's a guy that off the field got it, right away.
Right.
He knew how. It was his mission to use that platform to make a difference in the Buffalo community and that, and so nobody could find a bad word to say about the
Yeah,
kid. And
exactly. But
so
anyway,
he
what
seemed
transpired, just to make sure that people aren't out of the loop, is regular play, nothing out of the ordinary. He collides with T. Higgins, gets
looked like a normal routine tackle.
routine tackle. Yeah, so this was not. This may not have been like affiliated with that contact at
Nobody
all.
knows. Yeah, nobody knows right now if it was that play or if he had something just that hadn't been detected
Yeah.
in physicals and things. Nobody knows.
Right.
But
Well, and he could have taken a blow to the chest just in the right way. 'Cause I was watching YouTube videos on doctors analyzing it, but they don't know. They're not there. But anyway, so he takes the hit, gets up like nothing, starts adjusting his helmet, collapses on his back. So, of course, me watching at home, and probably you in the press box at that point was like, "Oh, he must hurt his neck or something." But it was
the way
odd.
he went down, no. The way he went
Yeah.
down, no. Everybody, right away knew that was
Right,
fake
right, but
than
at
any
home
other
we
kind of
didn't
fall
see
we
him we
saw.
didn't see him collapse
Right,
at home.
exactly.
So all we saw was, oh, there's another Bills player down, and then they're stabilizing him. We're like, oh God, is this like neck? Because that's always scary, because the player before him that went down, they were worried about movement and stuff, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
So, but after I saw him, get up and take a step or whatever, then the way he went down, then you knew it wasn't just a normal, neck, back, and leg, and you knew it wasn't anything like that. That this was totally different than, and something was seriously wrong. And the paramedics and that team that
mhm.
out on the field, the hospital, everybody involved, and those are the real heroes of that night.
I don't remember who, but somebody tweeted, "I'm on team UC Medical tonight," which
Yeah, UC Medical,
yeah.
exactly.
So,
They did,
but anyway, they pulled the ambulance onto the field. We didn't know this at home, but they had done CPR. And fortunately, it was administered very quickly, which is the best thing that can be done. And then they had an defib. There's an AFib. I don't know the difference between AFib and a defib, but anyway, it was an AED, so I guess an AFib, and they had to shock
hmm
him. There's different
yeah.
reports because some said that he had to be revived 2 or 3 times, and some say once, but it was done at least once. Because his heart had stopped. He was taken to UC. Players are all in distress. You can see it. I mean, God, I mean, especially watching on TV when you can see the close-ups of like the Bills players are broken up. The Bengals players are confused and not knowing what to do and not knowing how to feel and stuff. So the word that allegedly came down from the league, which the league denies, is okay, we're going to start again in 5 minutes. So, both quarterbacks start throwing and stuff like,
hmm
yeah, I don't know if I'm up to this. Next thing you know, they're like, all right, everyone back to the locker rooms. This is about halfway through the first quarter, so 60-minute play. This is like seven and a half
hmm
minutes in or so. Um, and they stay back there and they keep on cutting to commercial coming back, and all the commentators. Who was I listening to? Troy Aikman. Who's with Troy?
Troy Aikman and Joe Buck.
Yeah, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. They were like, "There's no way. There's just no way." So my understanding and what we did not necessarily see on camera is that the Bengals went over and visited the Buffalo Bills in their locker room. Um, Zach Taylor came
They
over
did.
and he stopped at the hospital even to visit this guy. But to your point, so Damar Hamlin has a toy drive, kids toy drive. That's his charity. It's raised over $7 million in the last 24 hours. Last I heard. Um,
Yeah, over $7 million, and going into that game, it was at 2,900.
Yeah. So what I think we'll do is let me find a link for a way to donate. I'll put that in the description since we brought it up, and we want everyone in Cincinnati's thinking of him. It's we wanted to win that game. I was excited for that game all week, and but when something like that happens, you just realize it's just a game. So
Exactly. And you see everybody. Not everybody, but some people. Wondering how it's going to impact the playoffs
mhm,
and all that. Right now, that doesn't matter. He's still in intensive care and that. So
right.
you get to that when you get to that
Yeah, I
point.
agree. And but I don't think it's necessarily distasteful to ask questions like that at this point because this is relatively unprecedented. The game was incredibly important. If it was two teams that were out, just cancel the game, or call it a tie or something. But what do you do?
Yeah, yeah. I think if it didn't matter, I think they would have already done that. But I think they have to wait until after this weekend to see how it would have impacted it.
Right.
It may not have any bearing, and if it doesn't, then you probably don't. Again, we don't speak for the league or
Right.
anything like that, but you probably don't play it if it wouldn't have mattered. Um, but if it does matter, you go from a 3 seed to possibly being able to be a 1 seed or something like
Mhm.
that. Um, then yeah, I think you got to find a way to get that game in.
Yeah, and the real question is when, because if they push it to the next, because I mean, they can't play immediately after this Sunday, but they can't play the next weekend because that would put both teams at a disadvantage in the playoffs unless they got the bye.
Well, well, I think what they would have to do is they'd have to push the Super Bowl week. They have a 2-week break between, the big game, and I think what they would do is just push that back. So there's only a 1 week break before the Super Bowl, which is okay because they did that for years. There was only 1 week, and it didn't seem to impact the teams at all.
Yeah,
With that, the teams don't even leave to go down there until the week of the Super Bowl. So I think that would be the way to do it, and you just have a Bengals Bills game, in week 19. The other teams all get a bye. Then you go into the playoffs. I mean, not ideal, again, if they're playing and the other teams are resting, but there's just no any way they go isn't gonna be ideal for anybody. But we'll get to that when we get to that. There's the games this weekend that'll determine whether you even have to play that game, and um, maybe they don't, and it's just business as usual for the NFL at that point. Then
right. Yeah, and sometimes that's what you can do. But again, I'll put a link in the description of both the YouTube version and the podcast as to where you can donate to his toy drive. So let you know that people in Cincinnati and all around the world and the all the attractions groupies out there are thinking of him, and it's just
yeah,
a
and it
game.
kind
And
of relates to one of our first episodes that we had was all about crisis and crisis communications, and
mhm.
it doesn't get any harder than it did. On Monday night. And I think, between the Bengals, the Bills, the NFL, I think they all handled that as well as could be expected under the situation.
Yeah, very much. Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, all the people, and especially T. Higgins, who was the one that came in contact with that guy who's doing well, but apparently he's been at the hospital most of the last couple of days, from what I understand. But real
Mhm.
class acts for all of them. They immediately dropped the face, and it's just a game. This is a colleague we're talking about. So
Yeah. And the big thing that Zach Taylor brought up today in his press conference was um, the officials came over to him and said, the Bills are still processing this situation.
mhm.
So he didn't want to be playing, like phone tag, like calling on the phone across the field and all those kind of things, and or having the officials, keep going back and forth as messengers. So he walked across the field, and the Bills coach Sean McDermott, told Zach Taylor, among other things, but told him, he said, I've got to be in the hospital with my player.
Right.
I can't coach this game. So that tells me a lot about what Sean McDermott's about. So you gain a lot of respect for him too, right there too.
I always thought that it was a weird. It's very much a psychological thing with teams when a player, especially like in the fourth quarter, um, gets injured to the point where they're taken away in an ambulance. Like when they stabilize the neck. Obviously, this is an extraneous situation, but or more of an extreme situation than extraneous. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but it really changes the psychology of the game. I think that the Bills more so than the Bengals, but they would have been completely unprepared to perform. I think that it would have been asking for more injuries when you got guys that aren't focused that weigh 300 pounds running into each other. I think that there would have been additional safety concerns too. So good decision all around. There's no way they're going to be able to continue that game. Um,
No, I knew that as soon as I saw what they were doing to him on the field.
yeah,
With the chest compressions and just looking at across the field and seeing the tears on the Bills players, I knew at that point that there's no way that this game continues tonight. And it takes time to gather all the information
right.
and everything, and you got a lot of people you got to talk to before everyone wanted like an immediate answer, and there's not an immediate answer about that kind of thing. You have to do a lot of people to talk to before you can make that decision.
I completely agree. So, um, so Hamlin, we're thinking about you. You'll never listen to this podcast, but we're with you, man. Um, Besides that, did you do anything for New Year's?
Just watch football.
Oh, really?
Some terrific bowl games. TCU, was impressive. I thought Michigan was going to win, but TCU was very impressive in that one and showed that they belonged in the college football playoff. There was a lot of people that were thinking they're going to get blown out no matter who they play, and that they didn't belong there, and it should have been this school or that school. But uh, they did well and showed that they definitely belong to be in that championship game. And what a game between Georgia and Ohio State. It comes down to that
Yeah.
missed field goal at the end.
Nobody watched the
Uh,
ball drop in Ohio. Well, I mean, they did, but it was a little to the left. That's been the joke on
Yeah, a little
Twitter.
to the left, right. Exactly, but, but that was a great game too, and, again, it was expected that Georgia would beat them, convincingly, that, Ohio State was lucky to be there.
Mhm.
Ohio State had a great season, and they belonged to be there too, and, but it was just another terrific game, and, you hope that the championship game is just as good, and it's not gonna be something where it's, like Georgia 47, TCU 13 or something like that.
I think that any team playing Georgia in the past 5 years has had the possibility of, a blowout like LSU Purdue was, but the way TCU's playing, they're to bring back to the Bengals, Joe Burrow said, we're gonna find a way to win," and that's what they've done, and TCU does
They
that
do,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
It's just like in business. This doesn't work, this doesn't work. Well, if you're a good
Yep.
businessman, you find a way to be successful. Obviously, it doesn't correlate perfectly on the field, but it's just true. If you look at the negatives, then it's self-fulfilling prophecy. I actually did New Year's Eve at Kings Island. I bought the premium VIP thing, which was amazing. That's my third time doing that. They had about like a 7-course meal. They had more appetizers than I've eaten in like a year. And people were surprised when they brought out the main dishes because this is all buffet style, by the way, but when they started put out buffet dishes, people were surprised because they're like, well,
Mhm.
you get that too. Um, so that was a really good time. I always go down to this buffet is on upstairs. It's overlooking International Street on the International Restaurant, which is a great view. But I've always spent the countdown actually on I Street because I want to be amongst the people for that. Is a decision I never regret. Now what's funny is we're down to, 10, 9, 8, and everyone's looking at their phone about the Ohio State game, and you're, what the,
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff So that was kind of funny. All sorts of activities and stuff. The atmosphere, I imagine all the Cedar Fair parks probably have a similar program, but I'd say New Year's Eve is just my favorite night of the year. A little melancholy, like bittersweet, because it is the last day of the season, and this was the best season of Kings Island. But after 10 o'clock, essentially Winterfest ends, New Year's Eve begins. Huge party atmosphere on International Street. Just so many people there, and everyone's got the little New Year's hats and the little annoying blow things that everyone's doing. I always get a kick out of that. And then great firework display, by the way. They were shooting stuff off the roofs and stuff, in addition to the actual regular aerial show. But yeah, I love New Year's Eve at the park. You should try it sometime. I know it's a little tough when
Well,
you work
I
there.
have done it before, been there for that, but,
You have?
I was following it, you know, through social media and, seeing what everybody was posting about it, there and as well as other parks that were having New Year's Eve events. And
Right.
it looks like, like you said, a lot of people were commenting that it was their favorite, visit of the year. So, that's a good thing to always see too, that, it's just a great atmosphere and a lot of people get to do it in their favorite places.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's kind of like I like the length of Kings Island season because I spent a lot of time there, and then by the end of the New Year's and stuff, I'm ready to do other things to recharge the batteries, and then 3.5, 4 months later, it's like coming there for the first time again every year. So,
Yeah.
but we'll probably have a longer conversation about that when the park reopens in April. Just the feeling that you get on opening day. There's nothing better. It's like baseball opening day, and you know, I don't think that there's as much sentiment for most people with the NFL's opening because they do the whole preseason stuff and whatever. But at least here in Cincinnati, Reds opening day that's the first sign of spring, and that's a citywide event. You know,
citywide event, and in the amusement theme park industry, no two theme park seasons are the same at a park.
Right.
There's always something different to see, different to do, different food items, so it's never the same. So there's always something to look forward to when a new season begins.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you visit often, you start remembering. It's funny because my friend Jeff and I, like we're both the type that go to like every night of Halloween haunt unless we're at different parks or whatever, just because it's what you do on weekends. And it's we'll talk about, oh, I remember when that skull was in this maze in like 2004 or whatever. So that's kind of fun to do if you have that kind of memory. And
Mhm.
but you know what? We are not here to talk about Cincinnati for once. What are we talking about today, Don?
Let's talk about East Tennessee.
East Tennessee, because you know why? East Tennessee is the place to be in 2023. How about that? So, talk about East Tennessee, Don. What's the first thing that you're excited about that's going on in East Tennessee? There's so much going on. I've been excited about this episode all week since we started talking about it.
I mean, there is. Let's not go in any particular order here,
Right.
but let's start with the big thing, Dollywood opening a new coaster. It's going to be their largest roller coaster, Big Bear Mountain, and also a new place for guests to stay with the Heart Song Lodge and Resort. That's going to be a 302 room resort. It's inspired by Dolly Parton's love for the Smoky Mountains. The roller coaster, it's going to open in the spring, March.
Hmm.
And then the resort, the slated date to open is going to be in September, but a lot of big things happening at Dollywood in 2023.
Yeah. Big Bear Mountain. That's going to be. I don't think that they're claiming this because it's hard to. They don't want to take backlash because this will be hard to prove because there are a lot of moving parts. But I think it's pretty well accepted that that's going to be the world's longest family coaster. But that depends on how you define longest and how you define family coaster. Um,
That's what I like about what they're doing there, Ryan,
mm,
is, and we talk about this a lot on the podcast, is, attractions that everyone can do in the family,
right.
so not everyone, not the little kids can do this, but, um, but the younger guests can ride with the parents and the grandparents, and it's going to appeal to the thrill seekers.
Hmm.
They're all going to want to go there and pick up their credits, and they're going to like the ride because it's fun, but it's also great for families. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so to put it in perspective, Big Bear Mountain, 3,990 feet of track. So that's respectable on all fronts for length.
All fronts,
All
yeah.
fronts for length. And then the speed,
You got that setting too there. That setting is going to be incredible.
oh yeah. 20 passengers per train, 66-foot height. So let me tell you this. That doesn't sound like a lot. How tall's Maverick? Is Maverick boring? Absolutely not.
No.
And its maximum speed is 48 miles an hour, which is pretty fast for a family coaster. Um, Dollywood is they just do so much right. I love Dollywood more and more every year. Saw in a video from IAPA and one of the coaster channels interviewed Vekoma, and they were saying that they're actually using linear induction motors on this instead of LSMs. I don't know what the difference is, but I do know that I've always been under the understanding that LSMs are the newer technology. They're far more efficient. That's why everyone uses them now, including like Premier that came up with the or helped develop the limb motors. But they're saying that they are able to do this in a way that's far more efficient and it fit their current train design. So they didn't have to redesign their family coaster train. So I think that's really interesting. I mean, wouldn't you?
That's really interesting. And also, you and I had the opportunity to have a kind of a sneak peek at the soundtrack that the trains are going to have. So that's going to be exciting too.
Yeah, I mean, it's there that video is on Facebook where you can hear the soundtrack, but yeah, you hear the roar of the bear and it's just going to be so fun. I think that it reminds me a kind of like Twisted Timbers, Mystic Timber trains where it's like a truck, but it looks like it's painted up so it's got mud kicked up on it and stuff. I think
Yeah,
that's so
that
cool.
looked really cool. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know, I mean, it does look like mud all over it.
It does, and then it's got like a pretty convincing spare tire and stuff. So that's going to be so fun. But like, so I was thinking about this. We can't speak on behalf of Dollywood to be clear, but I wonder if they've ever debated going year round there. And I wonder if their thought process has changed now that like Carowinds is year round because it's kind of a similar climate. But I was looking at the weather there, and I follow Dollywood on social media, and they're saying their parking lot's full, and they're offering like offsite parking with a shuttle and stuff. And I'm like, well, they got a pretty big parking lot. How? And I look, and it was like 63 degrees. And I was looking at the average temperatures, and it's relatively warm there. I imagine from a business standpoint, it would be a lot to add those weekends, or I guess in their case, they would probably do like 4 days a week or whatever, 5 days a week. Um, but that had to have been on the table at some point. I've never heard it discussed or anything, but if Carowinds and King's Dominion are giving it a shot, yeah, it's a matter of time until somebody brings it up. But speaking of which, Dollywood is in fact expanding their operating calendar. They're going to add 15 days with a new festive event running March 11th through April 8th. The event celebrates the 50th anniversary of one of Dolly's most amazing songs, I Will Always Love You. If you stick to the end of the podcast, Don will sing it for us. Don't do that. but
I won't.
no. but it's Dollywood season starting earlier. That's 15 days. So March 11th, that only gives them a little over 8 weeks of being closed.
Yeah, does. Now they were going to be open for weekend operation there, so they're just adding those days during the week. But it's a good time to do it. I mean, a lot of schools, are still spring break during that
Mhm.
time. So I mean, it's a perfect time to do that, and the weather's normally decent at that time of the year. So why not?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So I'm looking on their website to see if there's any details. It looks like there's not a lot so far, just that there will be a celebration of it. But as I've grown older, I think the thing I appreciate more and more about Dollywood is that it's the culture behind Dolly herself, as well as the Smoky Mountains that it represents. Rides are great, food's great, everything's great, but that sort of thing where it's just like a showcase of Southern hospitality, I think is my favorite part now. And this will probably be more of a showcase of it. But the story of the song is very interesting, and I'm sure that they'll explore that quite often. Um, and but it's saying that it's gonna have special park decor, delicious culinary offerings, and it's meant to celebrate the momentous occasion of the 50th anniversary of that song. So they do great with park decor there, don't you think?
They do a phenomenal job with park decor, and again, you've got great setting there too as well. So it all blends in beautifully together.
I agree. I think the song that they totally ring out for, you know, all it's worth, and it's my favorite Dolly song is Coat of Many Colors. And I was down there for Christmas a couple weeks ago, and they had like the Dollywood logo that was made out of stitched out like different rags, as well as ornaments that were made of rags and stuff. It was so cool. So I can only imagine what they'll do with this song. You know, so more emphasis put on that song is going to definitely bring an emphasis to it. So Don, what's your favorite thing coming to East Tennessee?
Well, this isn't going to be a surprise to anyone that knows me, but Bucky's in Sevierville, it's opening in 2023. I've seen June as kind of the targeted opening date. Whenever it is, I'm going to be there. But it's located off Interstate 40 at exit 407.
Hmm.
So that's normally the exit you would take if you're going to be going to
Right.
Dollywood or Pigeon Forge or any of those places. 74,000 square feet, this convenience store. It's going to be the largest Bucky's location in existence, but just for a short time. There's 120 fueling stations, 250-foot car wash, a large selection of snacks and barbecue. If you've ever had their brisket sandwich, it's out of this world. My favorite is the Club Melt sandwich, but you're going to be able to have all that. It's open 24 hours a day. And I think if you're planning a visit to East Tennessee to hit a lot of those attractions in Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, uh, Gatlinburg, that's going to be your first stop right off the interstate. Everyone's going to want to go there, but really looking forward to that. I had a chance to look at the construction of it over Thanksgiving, and I just got excited looking at it, knowing that this summer that I'm going to be able to make a stop there.
Yeah, it's going to be really convenient because, in Richmond, Kentucky, there's the Bucky's between here and Dollywood. Excuse me. So by the time you get to Sevierville, you're kind of aching for another Buc-ee's, to be honest with you.
You
But
are, yeah, you're ready for another stop and, get another sandwich and, fill up the tank if you need to again at that point, I'm real excited about I'm not gonna be excited about how it's gonna back up traffic, though, so, on Interstate 40, just be prepared, to especially if you're gonna exit or whatever, that's gonna probably add about 20, 30 minutes of time just to exit off that exit now, because that's there, especially during the peak hours of the day.
yeah, I was thinking about that as well. Now, Buc-ee's itself, at least the one I've been to, is pretty good at I mean, they know they have 100 pumps, and they know that they're gonna have 60 or 70 people in their store. So, the road to actually get to Buc-ee's from entering Buc-ee's property is pretty long for that reason. Um, so I imagine they'll do something like that. You'll probably enter from the back, like opposite the
Yeah.
off ramp. But you're right. If a lot more people are getting off that exit, that's entirely possible. And
Yeah,
it's
and don't get intimidated if you're, coming off the exit and you just see hundreds of cars going into Buc-ee's and think it's gonna be super crowded. I mean, there can be, a lot of people in there, but they're so efficient at getting everyone checked out
mhm.
and everything, or getting you the sandwiches that you wanna buy and that. So it's the most efficient operation that I've seen, when you're talking about restaurants of that, whether it's like I said, gas stations or whatever you
Sure.
wanna call it, convenience store, rivals fast food if you're talking about going in to buy sandwiches and that, but just super efficient, and there so while there might be a lot of people, you're gonna get checked out very
Yeah,
quickly.
it's never an issue, and there's several of everything. So, like, there's a the beef jerky is very famous, but there's more than one section of it. So even if it is crowded there, there's
Yeah,
more of it elsewhere. Um, Now you mentioned
and if you live in that area and you're looking for a job,
you better bet
people
they're
that I've
hiring.
spoken yes, people that I've spoken to that work at Buc-ee's say that, it is a phenomenal, place to work, great culture, everybody loves it, people don't leave, so if you're looking for a job and you live in that area, that's a great place to go.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you mentioned a couple things. So the first time I went down, I got $42 worth of food because I wanted to try everything, like an idiot. All delicious. The one thing I didn't get to because I was too full was the brisket sandwich. And I put it on ice and stuff, but forgot about it. Obviously went to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, Dollywood, and so on. So it got to be 3 or 4 days old. Can't eat it at that point. Threw it away. So everyone talked about the brisket. So I was like, next time I go, I'm gonna get the brisket. But I'd gotten the melt previously, and the melt was amazing. So I remember I went there because I went to Dollywood in mid-December for Smoky Mountain Christmas. Stopped at Buc-ee's, got the brisket sandwich. I'm sitting in the car, and I sent you a picture, and I said, "I'm at your favorite place."
Yeah.
And you said, "Try the melt, it's amazing." And I said, "I tried it last time, I just got the brisket." And you're like, "The melt's better." I remember biting into the brisket, and I was like, "This is good, but the melt is better." So I'd recommend the melt.
Yeah.
The melt is the best one. If you're a brisket person, like, it's smoky and it's really good, but if
Oh, man, it's great. The brisket's great, but I just there was something about the melt the first time I had it, just has a different, like, a kick to it that you just don't get with any other
have you
sandwich.
ever had the wraps, like the Mexican wraps? Those
Yes,
are really good too.
yes.
There's one that's like a sausage wrap that I've gotten, and there's like a beef and cheese. Yeah, beef and cheese. That's the one I
The
really
beef and
like.
cheese, yeah, yeah.
Oof. And then I bought I need to find those. I've got Bucky like like Altos, like the minty things. I got a Bucky's like Altos container and a Bucky's chapstick too. I gotta find that. I don't know what I did with them.
Mm. Do you get beaver nuts?
I've only had them with you.
Okay.
But it was funny because it's funny that you say that because a lady was standing by the register when we were waiting to get checked out, and she's looking at these things, and she's like, "I don't get it. Is it like salty? Is it like popcorn?" And I was like, "Let me tell you, lady. So it's sweet, it's salty, it's savory." And she ended up buying it, but it was funny because yeah, somebody brought you some at IAPA, and that's the only time I've ever gotten to eat them. But
Yeah. Did you get any clothing at Buc-ee's? I mean, that's another again, this is not just your place to fill up a tank. I mean, this is an attraction. It's a must-do kind of a thing, especially if you're gonna be in East Tennessee, this summer. Make sure you stop at Buc-ee's, but, even the clothing
oh,
line,
yeah, yeah, I
I think
did not
that's
get clothing
exciting.
this time, but what I did do is I couldn't let you go alone, so I got my Bucky's thing, and this is great. This is really well
Yeah.
built. you know?
What I like about it is I can fill up my drink in the morning, put ice and everything in it,
Mhm.
and 5 or 6 o'clock at night when I'm ready to head back home, there's still ice in it.
Yeah. So it's a lot like the Hydro Flasks, in that regard, but it doesn't insulate like a Hydro Flask. If you put ice in it, it might be good for days, but this one, like, especially, like, if you're trying to get through a work day or something, this will absolutely do it. And I like how it's tapered too, so it does
Mhm.
fit in the cup holder. We're going on about these, like, heated mugs on this attractions group podcast. But, yeah, Bucky says a bunch of stuff. It's actually not terribly priced. Like, I think this was 15 maybe, and which for a tumbler isn't bad, you know? So,
No, it's not, but it's gonna be something that, if you're gonna be in East Tennessee, make sure you stop at Buc-ee's, and that's gonna become a staple for you every time that you're in that area. As much as you might wanna go to the parks and, some of the different attractions that are, been there for a long time that, you've become accustomed to, and that's what you do all the time. This is gonna be a new thing that you're gonna add, so you're just gonna wanna add enough time, add some extra time just so you can go to Buc-ee's because it's gonna be something you're gonna do every time that you're down that way.
yeah, I completely agree. So, you get off the exit, you stop at Bucky's, you start heading towards, I think you're in Sevierville at that point, but you're heading towards Pigeon Forge. Um, and on your right, there's Wilderness of the Smokies, which I don't want to throw one name at another, but it kind of
Mm.
reminds me of Great Wolf Lodge. So think large scale, very large scale hotel, indoor water park. But recently they've been building an outdoor water park. I've been watching the construction, driving to Dollywood and stuff. And they're having, was it let me look at my notes here. Yeah. I'm looking at the Bucky stuff. I was like, it's not open 24 hours a day, but Bucky's is. 3-story water coaster. So, I mean, it's funny because you would think that everything would be centralized around Dollywood
Mhm.
and around Gatlinburg, but it's not. That's not very close. It's in within
No, not at
reason,
all.
you know, but it just shows you how much the area is growing. You know,
Yeah, and we're talking $40 million here with, this new park
yeah,
expansion, so, it's a significant investment that they're making.
yeah. I mean, think of it this way: this hotel just installed a B&M Giga. You
Mhm.
know, so that's an
Yeah.
interesting thought, but it's really cool. I mean, um, the girlfriends always wanted to stay there. We're big Hilton people, so we've always been doing the Hilton thing. But I think she'll win that fight eventually, and we'll stay there. Um, it's like I like indoor water parks in terms of the all weather situation. Not great with the whole chlorine and stuff. It affects different people in different ways. But with this outdoor park opening, like there's no excuse anymore. Now you got to go. But again, I mean, like I said, it's not terribly close to. I mean, it would be closer to Dollywood than it would be Gatlinburg, but it's not it's not terribly far away. It's probably a 20-minute drive or so. But you're not in Pigeon Forge, so
Nope, then, you move on, you've got Anakista's European Vacation. It's the first of a European-themed village. It'll open in the spring, so we're just a couple of months away
yeah.
there. As part of a $34 million expansion planned by the park, 2 attractions will come along with the village. The first being Bird Adventure. It's a play zone for kids of all ages, and the second attraction is a double rail roller coaster. It's called Hellbender. So another place that you want to put on your list of things to do in East Tennessee is Anarchista.
So is this the one that they're building in Sevierville near like Olive Garden and
Yeah.
okay, okay, yeah, I've seen that. What's funny is so last time we were down, not during Christmas, but the time before that, we went to all the mountain coasters in Pigeon Forge and Sevierville.
And the mountain coasters, those things scare you, or you're fine with them?
I take them and I go full board down the hill, and I figure if I shoot off the side, then my family gets a nice settlement. I love them. I don't think they're scary at all. What do you think? Have
Yeah,
you done them?
I've done them at night.
Mm.
They're fun, but there's always that little apprehension just because you're a little bit in control of your experience there.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be, I mean, not ever, but I don't think there's going to be a catastrophic failure where it shoots off the rail. I mean,
Oh
I was
no,
joking about that.
there's not. Yeah, there's not anything like that, but it's just different, than getting on a regular type roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and this one, you're deciding how, how like you said, you go full bore down the hill and stuff, so you kind of decide yourself how you're going to go.
My fear, I thought about this the first time I did one, is that if like a deer ran onto the track, I could I react fast enough? And I'm hitting this thing with my face, not with my windshield.
Right.
The other thought was if, one of the reasons,
I'd be more worried about a bear than I would a deer in that part of the country.
yeah, but at least a bear would be a better story if you survived it. But anyway, my other thought is one of the reasons why I go full bore is that I've always got this fear that if I slow down or stop, somebody behind me would hit me.
Hmm.
Which is entirely possible. But if you're stopped and someone's hitting you at 30 or 40 miles an hour, I mean, it's not going to kill you, but you'll feel like you're in a car accident.
Yeah, it'll be a jolt, but you're right. The full throttle's the way to do those.
Yeah, I always go full throttle. You're right about at night. I did 3 or 4 the first time we did them. We kept on finding them on Groupon because I remember I was texting you saying, "Is this one worth it? Is this one worth it?" And we ended up getting some good prices. If you look on Groupon, depending on the time of year, I was usually getting buy one get one for $21. So me and her could go for $10 each, essentially. But if you do them at night, especially the long ones, it's kind of like riding the beast, where it's out of control in the woods and stuff. They often have Christmas lights and stuff on them, which kind of adds to it. But recently, I did the Ripley's one in Gatlinburg. Um, that one is not as good. I'm going to be frank. But at the same time, if you're going to do Ripley's, you're going to do Believe It or Not, or you're going to do the aquarium. If you do either of those, you can get like the aquarium's like $54 and then it's like 64 for the aquarium plus 3 other things. So as an add-on, that's a no-brainer. It's a little bit off the strip and stuff. It's not very long, but it is fun. You know, I wouldn't do it as a standalone, but if you do the aquarium, definitely do the add-on and check out Ripley's Believe It or Not, and maybe the old McDonald Golf or something like that, because their stuff is really good. But I just wanted to give a shout out to them as part of the package. But yeah, I love mountain coasters. That's been my new addiction. It's something you can do late too. It's the fun spot of East Tennessee.
Right.
If your theme park closes at 6 or whatever in Orlando, you can get a fun spot till midnight. Well, these are always open till like 11 or 12, so you can drive around looking for those, and I think they're awesome. Do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite, especially when, like I said, I've done them at night, so they all look about the same, feel about the same.
There was one, I want to say it's Rocky Top, that had like 5 lift hills.
Yes, that one I have not done, but I've
Oh,
seen
you
that
got to
one.
do that one. That one we got, that was 2 for 20. And it took, they advertised the length. It's like 8.5 minutes. And you do that at night. And if you do it at night, like in the early fall, like we did, the temperature changes. It's like you dip down and it gets cold, and you go back up and it gets warm. It's so fun. You got to do that. Yeah. Oh, okay. So anyway, so next up, Diggin' Zones, a new theme park concept coming to Sevierville. Sevierville's building up, if our news is indicating that. Developer Waston Odell and partners Grant Hensley and Gary Allen are investing $25 million into a 27-acre theme park that is expected to open in the spring, featuring 25 attractions. Diggin' Zone. So another Sevierville one.
Yeah, that place is, I mean, it has grown by leaps and bounds since my first time down there, in the early 90s. And to see it today, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to find a more information on it. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, my first time down there, the big things to do were like the pancake places, for breakfast or something
We'll
like
move
that.
on
That
to
was like
food here
the
in a minute, Don.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
you
but that was
worry.
the big things to do back then, I mean, you do that and, maybe you had some go-karts and that, but, there wasn't all of these different attractions and experiences and things that, like we're talking about today.
Okay. So this is cool.
Mm.
I know that they have something like this in Vegas, although I don't know if it's the same company. But basically you can drive heavy equipment, skid steers, excavators, pavement rollers, articulated loaders, tractors, forklifts, dump trucks, dueling diggers, excavator spinners, etc. So
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that anywhere, so yeah. I mean, it's one of those things you're down there, you gotta do it.
I
You're not gonna be able to do it anywhere else you live.
yeah, let me see if you can if they have any indication of the tickets. That's so cool. I'm okay, so adults 11 to 64. So you don't quite qualify for the discount yet, Don, is $55. So worth it. And a
Yeah.
1 year pass is 159. Like, what kind of grown adult buy a? What if they just bought it for themselves? Like, there's the coaster enthusiasts, and then there are the people that really just love to drive like backhoes and stuff.
I mean, it's just different, you know, so yeah, I'm certainly gonna give that a try when I'm down there.
Yeah,
Why
this
not?
is exciting. I've probably passed the construction and just didn't know what it was. Well, here's the thing: do they have construction, or are they just going to bring the equipment there and let the people build it? That's the real scam involved in this.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's unique, it's different, and, you know, just another one of the many exciting things coming to East Tennessee in 2023.
Yeah, I tell you what, I whenever this opens, I'm totally down and I will record a ton and put it up on our YouTube channel. That's so cool because I thought it might be something like that, but I wanted to temper my expectations when I looked it up because I thought like maybe it's like a little kids thing, but nope, you're driving backhoes and stuff. And driven a lull, I've driven a Bobcat, all fun, but to be able to drive something like this relatively unadulterated, not have OSHA get in your back, that's a good time. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's you mentioned like, the fun thing to do was to get pancakes. And I remember like my parents, they went down to they're not theme park people, but they went like 15 years ago, they went down to Gatlinburg they said to hike. I don't know how much hiking they actually did, but to shop. Look what's changed in that time period, you know? I mean, just since I started going, you got the Sky Bridge that opened, Anakista, all that stuff falls into the category of theme parks.
Oh, yeah, you got the island,
Yeah,
that's in Pigeon Forge there, that has become a big destination for everybody that's visiting, that part of the Tennessee region.
yeah,
You know, everybody now stops off at you know, the island where they've got a few attractions, you know, that you can ride and little carousel and small little roller coaster, big Ferris wheel.
yeah, yeah. An observation wheel would be. I think that's kind of where I put that as observation wheel since it's
The observation wheel, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But the thing though is, you say it's got a few attractions. It's got a few rides, but
it does.
attraction wise, like a lot of the vendors, the restaurants, the stores are very novelty.
Mm.
You can't find them anywhere else. I consider that attractions.
Oh, yeah, exactly, I do too.
And yeah, and when we talk about like Gatlinburg too, um, the beauty of Gatlinburg is it's maybe 10% chains. You've got a Shoney's down there. There's a Mellow Mushroom, but Mellow Mushroom isn't everywhere in the country, so that might be novelty to some people. But what are some of your favorite restaurants, like in the Gatlinburg area?
Loco Burrow,
Mm,
comes to mind right off the bat. I'm not the biggest, Mexican food fan, but I'll eat, you know, a good taco and, uh, you know, they have really good ones there,
hmm
but that's just an atmosphere that, you know, is just, you know, unique too. You're drawn to it when you're down there. You wanna go in, and eat there just because of the atmosphere.
right.
Um, you know, they have, this mechanical bull that you can ride.
hmm
Now, it's been down the last couple times I've been there,
Yeah.
but that was always fun where you're eating too to watch people try to ride the mechanical bull. And, you know, everyone's a tough person until they get up there and they get kicked off in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I was there a couple weeks ago, which is the second time I've been there. You're the one who recommended it. It was funny because I was walking out of Ripley's Believe It or Not, and I remember I was texting with you, and you were like, "Make sure you eat there." And I was like, I'm not gonna go looking for this place." And I look up, and it's right over me. So
Yeah,
I was like, "All right, we're doing this." So we did. Beef tacos, hard tacos, are just incredible. You talk about having a kick to them. They're definitely not boring.
yeah.
They're not spicy. I don't want to like scare anyone away.
No, no, not spicy, but they're really good, and you get a lot of meat on those
You
tacos
do.
too, which, some places they really, we're not talking Taco Bell here where you just get a little thin layer. I mean, it is loaded up, lots of beef. Um, you know, 2 tacos is normally enough to fill anyone up,
Yes.
and there's just that much beef to
I
them.
mean, I aim for 3, but okay. Yeah, it's, and, they got obviously some rice and refried fried beans or what comes with it. I know you're not like a guac or queso guy, but I've tried both and they're both excellent.
Queso, I'm okay with
Oh, you
queso.
are?
I like that, but not the guac.
Yeah.
Um, but it's unique. You go up. I mean, it's a upper level type restaurant.
Yes.
There's another thing down below it. Um, so unless you're looking for it, it's sometimes it's hard to find. But that is a can't miss dining experience. If you're in East Tennessee, is Loco Burrow in Gatlinburg.
Yeah, so to put in so it is on a second floor, so you have to I mean, there's a big sign, you can't miss it, but you're not gonna see the storefront necessarily because you have to go up an escalator, to get up there, but it's really close to the sky bridge. So where you get on the
Hmm.
sky bridge, if you're walking and the sky bridge is on your left, um, then it would be on your left again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a couple of, ice cream little shops,
Yeah.
that are fun to go into. Let's go back to the island real
Right?
quick.
Yeah.
Near the island,
Yeah.
there was a new restaurant that opened. It's called Flavor Town.
Yes.
The chef, what is his name?
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fury. It's his restaurant, but that's an experience too as well. I mean, the food's phenomenal, but there's also like a full-fledged arcade, just hundreds of games and things. Virtual reality.
Mhm.
There's a roller coaster there, virtual reality that you can do. That's pretty intense. But that is a place that you definitely want to hit is his restaurant, Flavor Town, and in that complex, like again, it's near the island, but in that complex, you have these different places, at the island where you can, go in and sample the different drinks and that kind of. This one had samples of like well over 100 and something hot sauces.
Really?
So you just go around, just same thing, like just hundreds of them lined up around, in this like long table kind of thing, but around there, and you just try, as many hot sauces as you can handle. And that was a fun experience for me because I like hot sauces.
Yeah, you do. I remember, I don't know if I told the story in the podcast, but me, you, and David, our business partner with this, are sitting there at the restaurant called Roosters, and the waitress walks up right as you're saying, I drank a bottle of Frank's red hot sauce one time just to see if I could, or something like that. And the lady thought it was
Yeah,
so
I didn't have
weird.
any cough medicine, so I just kept drinking like the equivalent of what you would put cough medicine in. Just kept doing Frank's Red Hot, the hot sauce with that, and got rid of the cold.
Well, okay, so first of all, I want to have the disclosure that your statements are not evaluated by the FDA as true as they are. Um,
It'll work for me. No, but I put hot sauce on everything. It doesn't matter. I'm putting it on everything. And my most exciting Christmas gift that I got was a bunch of hot sauces from Bucky's. So that was that was exciting for me to
Was
get that.
that from like a friend or relative or friend of the show or
My wife got that for me.
oh, did she buy it in
Um,
secret while you were down there or did she
she's gone down a couple other times.
uh
When I'm not there, to visit relatives and that. The family, a lot of them live in what's called Waynesburg,
yes.
Kentucky,
Yeah.
which is about an hour and a half away from Bucky's, and so she goes down there, and then she'll pick up a sandwich for me on the way back and that. But that was one of the Christmas gifts I got, and um, can't wait to try those on a number of different food items.
Yeah. Completely agree. So but like when we're talking about food and stuff in the Gatlinburg area, because of course you have to transition back to Bucky's whenever we talk about food for some reason. But what about the donut fryer? Have you ever eaten there?
I have. That's a fun spot. Definitely check that out when you're in that area. Um, you ever tried Paula Dean's restaurant?
No, no, no. I've always thought to get a reservation. Paula Deen's is at the island, right?
Right.
Okay, so my plan was I was gonna try to get a reservation there, but I didn't know exactly when we were gonna get to the island, so I didn't wanna, like, have to sit around for 2 hours hungry or be late for the reservation, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
plan that out better. Have you done it?
Yeah, there's sometimes you can get right in, sometimes, but there's different, opportunities. There's the breakfast
Mhm.
that's really, really good. They've got the lunch menu, and then they've got the dinner menu. Um, I'm a big breakfast fan
Yeah.
of Paula Deen's restaurant. I like what they have there. When we were there over Thanksgiving, she was
Oh,
there.
yeah?
Yeah, my wife got the chance to meet her, signed the cookbook, that kind of thing. But yeah, she was there. But it's a place that we like to at least either hit breakfast or dinner when we're down there. So yeah, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll have to, like, go down there sometime and do a show from, like, the island or from Dollywood or something like that. Maybe, like, when some of this stuff opens. Don't you think that would be fun?
yeah, I think the island would be the perfect place to
We
do
could
it
get, like
because there's a place we can sit down and do it, with the little fountain they have
well,
going
what
on
I'm
there and
thinking is,
everything right in
like,
that
get a
area.
room at, like, Margaritaville and do it on the patio overlooking
No, on the patio, yeah.
I
Yeah, right there. You're right there by the
yeah,
island.
so I would do, like, maybe, like, try to get, like, 2nd floor, so you've got a bird's eye view, but we're not out of view. That would be fun, or we could just take a picture of it and chroma key it behind us and do it.
No, I like that idea. You ever done the crime museum that's down there? That's another attraction that's a can't miss, I think.
I I have not. I'm trying to get the girlfriend talked into it because I had another set of friends that went, and they apparently got a lot of Bonnie and Clyde stuff, and I think that's awesome.
They do Ted Bundy's car.
Did you ever do the photography museum?
Did not do that, but I've seen that, going through there. What about the Titanic thing for you? Have you done that one?
No. This is not going well. We have not done anything down there, have we? No, the Titanic one I've seen like some of the YouTubers, like the vloggers. So I've seen it before, but I haven't done it. Um
It's a good experience. You're assigned a character
oh yeah?
as you're going through this. Yeah, so you're a character who was on the ship, and you go through, and at certain points it'll tell like where you
Oh,
died, and that kind of thing. But there's one part of it where you can put your hand in the water, and it is the temperature of what it was, when the boat hit,
mm.
and so you can see how cold it was for
So
everybody.
is it a
But
recreation of the Titanic or is it relics?
it's a walkthrough. It's like a
Okay.
walkthrough kind of experience. You have a tour guide
Okay.
who's telling you the different, things about it, different features on the boat and that kind of thing. It's definitely something that next time you're there, make time to do it. It's worth that experience. Might not be something you do more than once, but you need to do it at least
So
once.
another thing that I have on my docket that I have not gotten around to because it's just tough to dedicate a whole night to something is I really want to do the Hatfield and McCoy Dinner Theater. You know, obviously, if you're from Kentucky, like that's special to you, because I think it was the Hatfields were from Kentucky, but I
Well, let me bring something up while you bring up the Hatfield McCoy
yeah,
place. By marriage, I am related to a McCoy.
that sounds about right because you do me dirty all the time, and I'm from Kentucky, and
But no, yeah, so yeah, there's part of my wife's, I think it's the mother's side were McCoys and that.
I'm guessing the
So
ones that live near Bucky's, then right, somewhere related to those guys.
I don't know about that. I just know, like, I found out through marriage that the McCoys were on my wife's side of the family.
Yeah, so I've seen apparently like the descendants of the Hatfields and McCoys like play an annual softball game now. Like they don't really they're not killing each other anymore. But
No, no.
but yeah, that's always interesting. I've always wanted to do that because it's like campy humor, but it's like and I've seen clips of it. It's really cool when they do like a Christmas
Yeah,
version and stuff. Again, it's just difficult to dedicate an entire night to that. It's you know,
yeah. But somehow through, like, it's one of the cousins or something married a McCoy. I don't know how it is, but there's a McCoy, and McCoy is in the family. That's all I know.
yeah. Wait, yeah, the McCoys were from Kentucky. The Hatfields were from, but
Yes,
okay, so no, your wife's related to the good one. But
the McCoys.
yeah,
Yeah,
so have you ever done Ripley's Believe It or Not?
that I have not. So you got one up on me there.
Yeah, I did. So I bought the 3-pack passes I mentioned before, and I did the aquarium, believe it or not. And it was weird because at the time we were planning on just doing like putt golf. It was just some cool chill thing that's open till 11, but they closed at 5 that day, randomly on like a Tuesday. So we had the tickets left over, and that's why we did the mountain coaster. The aquarium is it's good. It's got the moving floors and stuff, and it's got a lot of encounters. They actually have like an upcharge thing where you can go out on a boat that has a glass bottom. But again, bundled with everything else, It's pretty cool. The actual museum, the Believe It or Not stuff, um, it's a one-time thing. I don't know if I would do it twice, but with that being said, I really did enjoy my one, especially in the day where everyone has a camera on them. They've got their cell
Yeah.
phone.
Well, let me ask you this: is that something that if you would say make plans to do, or is it something you do if you've got extra time?
Extra time. I would say give yourself hour, hour and a half. It's not an all day thing or anything like that. Um, the aquarium sometimes gets so busy that it has time tickets, I think. So you might have to plan ahead for that. But believe it or not, is it's 3 floors. As an add-on to the aquarium, it's very well worth the money. I wouldn't buy a $40 ticket for it, but again, you have to look at the sum of all parts. Don't buy just the aquarium ticket. Buy the aquarium plus a couple different things. You could take care of your entertainment for a whole day for 50 or $60. You know, definitely check their website for details. But they've got like what they claim are like real shrunken heads and stuff like that. But like I was saying, like in the day and age where everyone has a cell phone and can take pictures, they've got a lot of this stuff where you take a picture and it looks like you and the person you're with are sharing bodies or whatever, and they've got one thing that kind of sticks out. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this because I don't care because you won't remember this by the time you go through, listener. Um, but there's one there's one point where you go around a corner and there's you see a guy about to take a picture with a camera and a couple that's posing and they look really realistic. So everyone walks by like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they're just like mannequins.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so it's
Uh,
definitely like I have very warm memories of it. And honestly, like if you and I were down there and you said you wanted to do it, I wouldn't be against it. But it's yeah, it's not something you would have to do every visit. Um, but it is close to the burrito place, so there's that.
yeah. Now we'd be remiss if we did not mention the Apple Barn.
Yeah. Um, so there's two apple barns. I went to the wrong one. Tell us about the good one.
Did you go to the store or the restaurant?
So I went to a restaurant that is okay. So you were telling me about it's barbecue, right?
Well, I mean, fried chicken and dumplings and that kind of thing.
Okay.
There's like a third. I mean, there's another place you can get some like food and stuff, like snack kind of food and everything. But there's the restaurant, and then there's the store. So there's different
Yeah.
components of it when you're there. But the restaurant with the like the fried chicken and the chicken and dumplings, I mean, it's really really good food.
Mhm.
It's a nice like just old time like what you would expect to have in the South, type of a meal.
Yeah, we went, and it might have been the right one, might have been the wrong one, but it was very much Southern food. And the only downside was we had spent 5 days in East Tennessee, and we were very over Southern food by the time we ate there. But um, I remember we had a kid with us who, by the way, if you're listening, Noah, I understand that you're 6 and you're not 5. I got called out for that. So Noah is 6. He was 5 at the time, but he got grilled cheese and he was raving about that. But I think my girlfriend got the grilled cheese too. It was like a kid's meal, but it was delicious. I think I got regular Southern food anyway. I got mashed potatoes and stuff, which was really good. What about the Old Mill? You ever eat the Old Mill?
Having at the old mill, that's a nice place. So I would definitely put that on your bucket list if you're heading down that way.
Yeah. If you're from an area that doesn't have Shoney's, that's kind of a good novelty thing in Gatlinburg, because we don't have it here. Um, s-
Yeah, and there's a new barbecue place too that opened on the strip that I cannot think of the name of it.
mm,
But it caught my eye on my way out this year on the way back home, and I just saw the sign for the barbecue, and it just looked so good. So that has to be a place that my next visit to East Tennessee, the Sevierville, Pigeon Forge area, I'm definitely gonna hit this barbecue restaurant up.
okay. Well, so best barbecue in Gatlinburg, according to this article I'm looking at here.
Oh, you're talking about Gatlinburg. I'm looking at Pigeon
Oh,
Forge for
Pigeon
this new one.
Forge. Okay.
Yeah, it's a new one. It's a new one. It's near. It's there's when you're going up and you see that one building and you got the big gorilla
Yes.
climbing the building. It's like right by that.
Bennett's, Corky's,
Bennett's.
Bennett's. Okay.
Bennett's.
What do they got? It's Pit Barbecue. I remember seeing this now. The Gorilla Building is the photography museum, by the way. I know that well because my car broke down. My old car broke down in their parking lot. Yeah, so Bennett's it's Pit Barbecue. What's it got?
Yeah, so as we're talking on this podcast here and talking about the different attractions and things that are going to be new for 2023 in East Tennessee, but if you're a foodie fan, I mean, there's a lot to like
Yeah,
in that area.
yeah. Full rack of ribs for $30. Can't beat that. Chicken and rib platter for $23.99. So it looks like this is the off season, by the way, for Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. So the hours may vary. Like I know Anakees is open like Thursday through Sunday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that now. But this place
Yeah,
is closed on Wednesdays, Saturday, Sunday, 11 to 10, Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 9. I wonder, I bet you could go down there on a weekend in February and it wouldn't feel like the off season. I mean, Dollywood's closed, but other than that, I bet everything else is
not
open.
anymore. Yeah, I mean, not anymore. I mean, it is it's a hopping place.
Yeah, somebody told me, and I can't cite any kind of um, article or anything like that, that the Gatlinburg area, so that encompasses all the areas we're talking about, is one of the fastest growing tourist cities in the United States.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, dude, I went to Gatlinburg
I
during
mean,
Christmas and there was nowhere to park. Like, I got lucky and found a place in that, that abandoned amusement park there where they still park people.
yeah, but I mean, it's like move over Mickey and Harry. There's a new kid on the block now where people are looking to when they're planning their vacations.
Yeah, and the fact that Dollywood is just not necessarily on a whim. I don't want to use that phraseology, but they have a 300 room resort and they're building another one. That
Yeah.
shows that the market that is in demand for something like that. Um, which leads to the next question. If you want to talk about Dollywood specifically, I wonder what the future is like for that park. I have no doubt it's bright, but as far as like adding attractions and stuff like that, not to bring back the year round stuff, but I wonder if they would ever consider having major attractions, like a few of them as indoor stuff that's kind of guaranteed to be open in all weather, kind of like Blazing Fury. Because I would love to see what their creative team would come up with. I can only fathom that. Yeah. Then you can eat Aunt Granny's all year long.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see where places, 5 years, 10 years from now, just how, not only Dollywood, but just that whole area looks like.
Yeah, I love just cheap touristy stuff. If not doing it, then driving past it. That's why I love Orlando. Like I get a kick out of driving past like where they sell like 3 t-shirts for 3.99 and stuff. Dollywood isn't that tacky, but they have a lot more of like a crime museum, a photography museum, just little fun things to do.
Fun things to do, right? And it used to be you'd go down there and you could spend a couple of days,
Mhm.
and you were good. You were ready to head back home. Uh, but now, I mean, you spent a full week down there. There's still things that you wanted to do you didn't get to.
Yeah, well, you and I both have gone down there and we both go. We're like what 2 or 3 times a year or so, and we
Hmm.
go for several days and look at all the stuff we haven't done.
I know.
And then neither of
I
us
know. Every
spend all
time
of our
I'm there,
time at
I'm getting it
Dollywood.
next time. Yeah, I mean, it's you want to, there's just so many things you want to see and do when you're down there. And it's like now you have to make that, most like that checklist before you go to make sure you don't miss out on these things that you certainly wanted to do. And then you stumble across these other things that are just so cool. Like you mentioned, like those t-shirt
Right.
shops. You're walking through Gatlinburg, there's those kind of stores, and they're just fun.
I love Gatlinburg. I love just like I'm not a big shopping guy in general, but I love like the novelty stores and stuff. And like yeah, I went to the Gatlinburg Mall for the first time. I'd always heard about it, but I never did it. That was really interesting. The downside was it was really hot in there. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but I thought the layout of the mall was like it's like 7 floors, but it has like 5 shops in it total, or it's like
Hmm.
tiny but it's tall. So I thought that was really cool. And then there's like, is it the Villages? Like back where the donut fryer is?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
villages. Yeah.
that's really cool too. And they've got that like the monogram shop where you can get anything monogrammed, and they've got like a ton of stuff that you
Hmm.
can get monogrammed. And you know, I'm not a big coffee drinker. The girlfriend likes to drink at the local coffee shop there. It's not like a sit down thing. It's like a walk up window, but she always
Yep.
talks about,
Yeah.
oh, I want to get coffee from that place. It's got good coffee. So
And then there's all those little pizza places too
yes, yeah,
that you get in, and it just you just get a buy the slice, and it's just not the same kind of pizza that you get anywhere else.
yeah, I completely agree. Um, yeah. So Don, we were talking that if this episode goes 30 or 40 minutes, we're okay with that. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. Is there any final thoughts you have on the East Tennessee area?
No, just just that there's so much to see, so much to do that you just can't do it all in like a week's time. You just got to really kind of map out, do some research before you
Yeah.
go, and just map out the kind of things that appeal to you that you want to do. You know, look up the restaurants, look up the different kind of shops, the other kind of fun experiences, the go-kart rides, and all those
Yeah.
other kind of things. And just make out your bucket list of what you want to hit. Make sure you include Bucky's and the Apple Barn. You don't want to miss those two.
Yep. In Gatlinburg.
I think those are in Gatlinburg. And you want to local borough, you want to hit that. So just again, it's just a fun fun getaway, whether it's for a weekend that you're doing it, or it's a vacation time where you're going to be there for a week.
Absolutely. All right. Well, what an episode. Yeah. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this all week because I love going to that area, and I love thinking about that area and planning my next trip to that area. And uh,
Yeah, and if you have any suggestions, listening, and you've been, in Pigeon Forge and Sevierville and Gatlinburg, and you have, favorites that you have, tweet it at us,
yeah,
and let us know what you recommend people do when they're visiting there.
yeah, absolutely. So we can be found on Twitter. I forgot to plug this at the top of the show. That means somebody listened for over an hour before they're hearing this. So thank you for your loyalty. Follow us at attractions_GRP. Find us on your favorite podcast apps, such as Google, Spotify, Apple, etc. And follow us on YouTube because we're eventually going to do a live thing, but we keep on pushing it off. But we'll do it, I promise. Um, oh, and there's a new intro for this episode that I'm going to use because we decided this is season 2 for some reason, even though it's a calendar year difference. And so if you want to see that, you have to see the actual live version. I worked really hard on it, and I think you'll like it. But thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.